This podcast provides a platform to discuss important questions and complex issues, challenge the status quo, and confront the boundaries of the establishment. I'm retired police chief Daniel Hahn. I went from being arrested at 16 to serving over 34 years in law enforcement. My goal is to keep you informed with news not being reported, voices not being heard, and the untold history of how we got here so that we can create a way forward. Welcome to A Way Forward. My special guest today is Antonio Smith. As an artist, he goes by Mission, and I don't want to give too much through myself. I'd like you to talk about it. So I really try to always start with somebody's background and how they grew up so people can get to know you a little bit.
Absolutely.
So talk a little bit about your upbringing.
Yeah.
I know you kind of did it in two different places.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about what your upbringing was like and how that formed you.
Absolutely. So I'm originally from Greenville, Mississippi. The first time I got introduced to Sacramento, California, I was 9 years old. Complete culture shock.
So what did you think when you came to Sacramento from Mississippi? Like, what was the shock part? What was
the shock part was I seen other races other than black and white. So coming from the South, literally all I knew was black and white. If I seen Asian or Mexican, it was like on TV or something, and that was few and far between. So I come out here and I'm like, first I see palm trees. I'm like, wow, you know?
Right.
So, and Greenville's a small town, and so we coming out here to the big city, and I'm seeing all these different ethnicities and seeing these different foods. Like all I knew was greens, mac and cheese, and fried chicken. Now I can eat some Mexican food, a burrito, a taco, or something like that. So that was a total culture shock. And, you know, it took some getting used to. I had an accent at the time, so I got teased for that, but people also thought it was funny, so I used that in a way to make friends and, you know, certain lingos and stuff that they hadn't heard. I used that as a way to kind of be a class clown and, you know, kind of make friends. And but that also, like, it shaped me. Like, it was a negative thing, too, because in Sacramento, I was, like, one way. And then when I went back to Mississippi, it was more rough. It was more, you know, it was just, I felt alone a lot while I was out there because.
In Mississippi?
In Mississippi, because we'd come out here for 2 years and then things would change down there. So I would go back and I'm in the school and I don't know nobody because all my friends are either that I knew when I was, you know, coming up, either forgot about me or whatever the case may be. So it was difficult. So I kind of had like two personalities. Right. You know what I'm saying, in a sense.
And how was it? So you got here to Sacramento, and I think some of your time was spent in the north area.
Yep.
Like Del Paso Heights.
Yeah.
You know, in Sacramento, like any other city, if you're not from the Heights or you don't spend any time in the Heights, you have an impression of what the Heights is.
Exactly.
Which is often different than the people that are there. Yes. Because they know people that they're there. So often from the outside, the Heights has a really bad reputation.
Absolutely.
And people are scared to even venture in. But if you go talk to the people, they're very proud about being from the Heights. So I'm curious how, you know, some of your growing up time, how was it in the Heights?
I loved
Sacramento.
it. Yeah, I loved it, man. I went to MLK, Martin Luther King, and, you know, just my time there and, you know, just growing up around that area, it felt, parts of it when I got to know people, it felt like, you know, like home to me. You know what I'm saying? Like I made friends there. People were, you know, I mean, it's rough. You know, if you're in the inner city, it gets rough. But people, like, care about where they're from, you know what I'm saying? And they took pride in it. And, you know, it was like a home away from home for me. You know what I'm saying? And just growing up, it made me appreciate, you know what I'm saying, where I was from. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times, like, I was kind of embarrassed to say I was from, you know, little old Greenville. But it also made me, when I seen how, you know, because the Heights is small and, you know, it's a community, and it made me proud of where I was from. So, you know, and I learned that from, you know, just people around that area.
And we'll talk about this in a minute, but now you're back in Del Paso Heights doing work, and we'll get to that in a second. But so you, a lot of what you do is being an artist and surrounding the music industry, if you will, and we'll get to some of your amazing successes here in a minute. But you know, it's always interesting to see how people got into what is their passion. And often I find that people didn't intend on going down that road,
Right.
but things happen and they end up with what they're passionate about. And I think you're very passionate about music. So talk a little bit about how you got into it,
Right.
and how you stayed into it, and how you've gotten to the level you're at now.
So with music and just entertainment, I can just even remember when I was a kid, at barbecues or whatever, I would, stand on top of the table.
So you were the one.
Yeah. I would be, and one thing that I knew, like I could remember songs really well and do the timing of them right. And then I would see other people I'm like, bro, you off beat. This is how it's supposed to go. So I didn't know it would be rapping. I didn't know it would be actually me getting into it and actually doing it for a career. But I always had a special place in my heart for music. And I always connected with, the words and the lyrics that the artists were saying more than just the average person who would listen to music.
Right.
Like I took it to heart, you know what I'm saying? And I would say what really pushed me into music and wanting to actually do it was I heard his DMX song. It's called Slipping and Falling. And when he explained how he didn't have his dad in a song, and like there was stuff that I had like built up into me that I never expressed. And I was like, this is a way that I can express myself. Because
this song actually touched you
the song touched
more
me.
than just a beat.
Exactly. It wasn't just what, the beat was. It was like, no, what he said. He was like, dang, wasn't my fault, something I did to make a father leave his first kid. And I was thinking, me not having a father, I was like, I had those feelings. I had those thoughts. And I was like, man, are there other people that have these same thoughts? Right. So I was like, I need to share this. I need to, say how I'm feeling, because I would just bottle it up. I'm from, rough areas. We don't talk about that stuff.
Right.
And if we do talk about it, it's going to be in a song. So that was my way of expressing. And once I heard that song, I think I've written raps before that, but once I heard that song, I knew for sure that I wanted to write music to express myself. I wasn't thinking about, I want to be this big rapper and get paid from it. I was just like, this is the way I'm going to express myself.
Gotcha.
And how I knew I was good at it is my auntie Tisha. She is the most honest, brutally honest person that I know.
We all got one of those.
Yes. If it's not good, she's going to tell you it's not good. I ended up recording a song. I didn't even let her hear it. Somehow she heard it, and she came out on her porch. She was like, that song that you recorded is really good. When she said that, I was like, okay, I can do something.
So that actually said, her confidence in you made you believe in it.
Exactly. Her confidence, that confirmation, I didn't even know I was looking for it. But when she said it, I was like, oh, yeah, I can do this. Because if my auntie said it's good,
right.
It's got to be at least decent.
And it's one thing to think, I want to do this, not even necessarily for a career or a lifelong thing, but to be able to express myself. And it's another thing to actually be successful at it and be able to, make a living, impact others, do what DMX did for you.
Exactly.
To other people.
Exactly.
So I know you mentioned someone at the church that helped you get, put your vision to work. And talk about that.
Yeah, so it was Pastor Gonzalez. He was a youth pastor at the time. I was going to Calvary Christian Center in Del Paso Heights. It's always come back around Del Paso Heights. And there was this conference that he wanted to do, or that they were doing. They did the conference every year, but they wanted to include the youth. And he had heard that I was doing music and stuff like that. And he wanted me to record a song for FCMI. And I was like, man, I don't know how to do that. I don't have any equipment to do it. So he actually bought me the microphone, the interface. He bought me everything I needed to record it. When I told him, I said, can I record my own music on this as well? He said, no, it's yours. Just do what I asked you to do for it.
Let me back up just a second. When you said at that time, when you said, can I record my own music, it wasn't necessarily church music.
It wasn't church music at all.
Which is why you asked the question.
That's why I had that. Yeah, I was talking about some crazy stuff, man. I was not doing none of it. He was still good with it because he knew that I had the talent, and he just wanted to invest in me. And this was his way of doing it because he believed in me as well. And he saw charismatic and, and things like that. And he's heard a few bars or whatever. And this was his way of saying, I'm not necessarily trying to change you. I just want you to go forward in what you're doing. And
but in reality, now you do a lot of Christian rap.
Exactly.
So
so
his confidence in you and his helping you
Yeah.
see your vision actually.
Yeah.
I think he had that in his mind the whole time.
and we believe in something seed time and harvest. And if you plant those seeds, in time, you will reap a harvest. And that was his way of investing, was planting that seed and like, hey, let's just do the music. And then, eventually he knew I would come back because I was around the right people. I had the right mentors and things like that. So he knew eventually this was just a phase of me talking about, selling cocaine. I've never sold cocaine a day in my life.
But you were talking about it.
But I was talking about it.
Right.
So he knew that was just a phase. And like I said, seed time and harvest. And now I'm actually a Christian hip hop artist. Been that for 10 years now.
Let me go back to something you just said. You mentioned I had the right people around me. Mm-hmm. I had mentors.
Absolutely.
And I think so many times, especially in some of our communities that we grew up in, we don't want to admit that.
Yeah.
We want to act like we're strong on our own and we don't need. Talk a little bit about what those mentors you mentioned did for you, how it kept you maybe out of selling cocaine as opposed to just talking about it.
Right.
How did those mentors, those people, whether it be your auntie or whoever the other mentors you were referring to, helped you on your path?
Yeah, I think I say I'm blessed because the people that are in my life, they always gave me room to grow. So I think a lot of times when we talk mentors, a lot of youth see it as just somebody else to tell them what not to do. Mm-hmm. And of course they told me right from wrong, but they still allowed me to grow. They still allowed me to bump my head. And when I try to mentor and when I approach the youth, I come from that aspect. It's like, hey, I'm not judging you. I'm not trying to get you to stop what you're doing. I'm just trying to get you to see another perspective and another way of doing things. And that's how it shaped me, because I had a daughter at 17 years old. And those mentors, they didn't turn their backs on me. They didn't say, see, this is what I told you. They were stern with me. It was like, hey, now you did that now. Okay.
You got some responsibility.
Now you got some responsibility. now you got to get to it.
Right.
And since that age, I've always longed for a father, and there's always men in my life that I could look up to. So I never had an excuse to really go off the ledge because, yeah, sure, a father wasn't there, but I also had a church community that I can look at, guys who was doing the right thing, and, kind of model my life after that. And my mentor at 17 is still my mentor today.
Wow.
Yeah, and I believe incredible. I just believe in that, man. I believe in having people who can, tell me, hey, man, you tripping. You know what I'm saying? Hey, let's look at it this way,
instead
not this
of just
way. Exactly.
Oh, I don't want to hurt his feelings, or
exactly.
He's successful, so I need to just kind of
exactly.
Well, and what was the pastor's name? Rodriguez?
Pastor Gonzalez.
Pastor Gonzalez.
Yeah.
So you mentioned mentors giving you space to bump your head.
Yeah.
It sounds like that's what he did, right?
Yeah.
Like not right or wrong.
Yeah.
But I don't know if all pastors or deacons or officials in the church, knowing what kind of music you were doing at the time, would be okay with giving you equipment to
absolutely not
not only do what they asked you to do, but also continue to do this other music. Some might have told you, well, I'm not going to get equipment to do that. Yeah. But and now we see full circle, as you just said, 10 years at least of doing Christian artistry in music.
And even sorry to cut you off, but even some pastors don't even agree with Christian hip hop because of the negative connotation that comes with hip hop music, and they don't understand or see how it can be positive or impactful.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of things that I've seen some stats that people are kind of walking away from the church these days, and I always wonder, with anything, do we keep up with society today versus society of yesterday, kind of thing. So. So talk a little bit about some of your successes. I've heard that LeBron has tweeted out one of your songs, that Nike has used some of your songs. So I'm just thinking from a young guy, how old were you when the Pastor Gonzalez gave you the equipment?
Was I 14, 15?
So 14, not even not even an older teenager, a young teenager. So from the time of this belief in you, this gift in you, but also he's getting something from you too. He's getting a song or whatever. Yeah. From that time to now, where you have a corporation like Nike, somebody that's as world famous as LeBron, utilizing your music. How did you get from 14 years old doing a song for a church and singing about stuff you weren't even doing to a time where these multi-million-dollar corporations and people are finding value in you.
Yeah.
And because they wouldn't be using it if they didn't think it brought them value.
Right.
So clearly, so how did that happen?
Yeah.
Like that's pretty incredible.
Yeah. Thank you. I would say consistency and long suffering, and just knowing that what I'm doing eventually will pay off. And because like you talk about from that time to that time, and this is literally just recently. So in between that, there was a few successes here and there, but a lot of times feeling like maybe I should try doing something else, because I kind of put my all into this, So from that time, it was a lot of losses, a lot of fails, a lot of feeling like I shouldn't be doing this, a lot of second guessing myself. But literally, like you spoke on it a little bit, like how times have changed. Like, so before you had to go and hopefully somebody can hear your CD or try to go outside of a record label. But now you don't even need a record label. Like, I'm not signed. I have my own label, but I'm an independent artist, and literally you can just throw music up on the internet.
You wouldn't have been able to do that 20 years ago.
No. So now with the internet is so powerful. Literally, I've seen people be a nobody artist, and then somebody picks their song up and it goes viral. Now all of a sudden, they're one of the biggest artists. So literally, that's what happened with this song, Marvelous. Literally, I released a song 3 months prior to the Kansas City Chiefs, is who actually picked it up first. And I thought the song was over, because now it's such a microwave generation. It's like, hey, if it's hot, after that, we moving on. And I released it 3 months prior, and then just I'm at the house, and then my wife sends me a text that somebody sends her, one of our good friends, and it's like, the Kansas City Chiefs just picked up your song. The song.
And when you say picked up, like, what did they?
So
they played it at games, or
they're playing it on their TikTok, which it was like,
oh wow, probably got
24 million followers on it. And so their most viewed video had like 12 million. When they posted my song, their most viewed video was a song that they posted. The video they posted with my song went up to 13 million. So now 13 million people just heard my song. Yeah. So now it just, so it has 60 sound users, and then it's like at like 9,000 now.
But it didn't stop at the Kansas City Chiefs.
It didn't stop. Nike used it. LeBron James. LeBron James is my favorite player, by the way. So when people seen it, they knew how hype I was. So actually, my daughter was saying, she was like, "Dad, that'd be crazy if LeBron used it." I kid you not. I kid you not. So next thing you know, I wake up and I was like, and I hear the song, and I'm like staring at it, and I'm like, "Is this LeBron James?" Like, he was rating some shoes or something like that. I was like, "This is crazy."
And the song's playing as
the song is playing as he's rating shoes. And
see, this is all new. I'm an old head, so I don't understand how any of this stuff works. I'd be horrible in this business.
Yeah, it is. The Chicago Bears used it, and the players in the locker room after a win, dancing to the song. They posted up. It goes. It's just so much. And
so, what does Marvelous talk about?
Marvelous.
What's the song about?
It's saying, I feel marvelous. I feel great. And literally, I'm talking about. I said used to push a mop, now own the shop. It's talking about elevation. It's talking about, whatever circumstance you're going through right now, it's cool. Just have a marvelous day. And how do you have a marvelous day? You stay positive. You good vibes, good energy. Pray. Whatever your advice is.
And so, how if there is somebody left that has not heard this song, it sounds like all these people with millions of followers have already done it. So most people probably already heard it, but. Like, if there's somebody out there that has not heard Marvelous, how would they? What would they have to do to listen to it? Like, if they listened to this podcast today and said, "I got to check that song out."
Yeah.
How would they do that?
So, anywhere you can download or stream music, that's Apple Music, Spotify, Google Play, anywhere you can get music. All you have to do is type in Mission, and then the song title is Marvelous, and it'll pop up. Same thing with YouTube. Awesome. Same thing with TikTok, Instagram, wherever you can listen to music at, the song is there.
And then not that this is all about money, but once if a corporation like a Nike or somebody picks it up and uses it in a commercial or something like that, then they have to pay you for your artistry, right? Your
absolutely.
work, right?
Yeah. So artists, if there are any artists watching this, it is so important to have, and that's what we teach in our foundation as well. It's like it's important to have your paperwork right. And what I mean by paperwork is making sure that your song is registered with Sound Exchange, making sure it's registered with ASCAP or BMI. That way, when Nike comes after your song, they have. But if the song is just out there and you don't have your paperwork right, the back end stuff right, then they can just use it and you won't be paid for it. But luckily I've been doing it for a minute, so I know any song that I drop is registered. It's I get our publishing. Nobody owns my publishing. All of that stuff is taken care of before I drop the song. So imagine if I wouldn't have taken care of that, and then now I'm trying to scramble and go do it, because you never know what song is going to blow. You never know what song is going to go.
I'm so glad you said that, because I think so many people see people like yourself once you become successful.
Exactly.
Right? They didn't see these failures and these roadblocks that you talked about a second ago. They just see you once LeBron is using your music. And so, people that are interested in being an artist might think, okay, all I need to do is have a successful song, and they might have the bomb song, but then not be able to profit from it.
Exactly.
So I'm very glad you said there's a lot of behind the scenes work you have to do to be successful in any business like this. I think you see so many times in sports, in music, and all these industries that are like entertainment industries, people going broke.
Yep.
Or you think that person had 5 hit songs. How come they're broke? And a lot of times I think it's because the business end wasn't solid.
Yeah,
right?
they ain't taking care of it. Because it's like a lot of people think, and I know people or have known people like, hey, if I blow up, then I'll handle it. And it's like, nah, man. If you like,
you gotta handle it first.
You gotta handle it first, especially if you have the resources and the opportunity.
Right.
It is so easy. And I think that's what, when people say they want to be artists, when youth come in and say they want to be artists, then we start talking all this other technical stuff. That's like, oh, no, I just want to make the song. And it's like, nah, this is what goes into it. This is like you said, people just see the LeBron.
Right.
They just see the video, but they don't see the hours and hours it took to shoot the video, to make the song, the paperwork that you got to fill out, to make sure that you square it away.
Which brings me to last couple questions. And one, you're not just, I guess the term would be blowing up in terms of some of your songs. Actually, before I even get to this question, we're in Sacramento.
Right.
And, I lived here when the Sacramento Kings came to Sacramento from Kansas City. I lived here long before we had any professional sports teams. So I've been here from the beginning, and the Kings have become a big part of Sacramento.
Absolutely.
And a big part of Sacramento's identity outside of Sacramento.
Yep.
And I just learned before we jumped on that you also made a song for the Kings called Sacktown Kings. Talk a little bit about how that came about.
Yeah. It was I know someone who works he works for the Sacramento Kings. He's been working for them for years. And it just dawned on me one day, it's like, man, I've been to Sac. Maybe I should make a song for him. So what I did was I just hit my producer, shout out to KAG. He actually produced Marvelous as well. Okay. So I hit him and I was like, hey man, we should do a song for the Sacramento Kings. And he was like, all right. So he just made a beat. And literally, I just took all the players' names and flipped them and used some clever lines. And I sent it to my connect at the Sacramento Kings. It was perfect timing. They was like, oh, this is actually great because we're finna do a jersey change. And the jerseys are going to say Sacktown. And the song was saying, rep my city, I'm a Sacktown King. So it fit perfectly. They had me change a couple lyrics.
But they used it.
They used it.
And this wasn't a thing the Kings coming to you.
No.
This is you being proactive, knowing what gifts you have, and reaching out and seeing if it would work for this big organization. I imagine you've probably done that multiple times in your life, and some of them were successful, and some of them just went nowhere.
A lot of them were successful.
But this one was.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And so
it only takes one.
There's a lot too, like just your own drive.
Exactly.
Right? And your own. So now, even with all this success and this knowledge that you have about the business side, in addition to the gift that you do through your artistry, you now do and are trying to expand the ability to reach young people and help them achieve what you've achieved, if that's their dream.
Yeah.
Right. And I think you have more than just artistry in your
Yeah.
in your plans. But talk a little bit about what you do at the Sac Youth Center up in the North area and where you want to go.
Yeah. Sac Youth Center gave me an opportunity to, I wanted to build a studio. I didn't have anywhere to do it, so the Sac Youth Center opened their doors, and me and my wife just started a nonprofit. It's called the All of You, None of Me Foundation. And what it is, we want to give kids the opportunity.
Say the nonprofit again.
All of You, None of Me Foundation.
And how is that? Is it, you have a website or somebody?
Yes,
can go?
yes. You can go to allovyounoneofme.com.
Okay.
Or AOYNOM.com.
Okay. Yeah. And so you're back at the youth center.
Back at the youth center. One day I woke up and it's like, hey, I want to build a studio where kids can come. It can be safe. It can be, somewhere they can come and learn about music. Because I would guarantee you put 10 kids in here, at least 7 of them tried or think they want to do music. So we want to build a space. So I literally raised $30,000 to be able to get the equipment, just off of word of mouth, just off of relationships I've known. And Sac Youth Center was already there. I told them my vision for it, and they've been. So
you have a
great
studio
partner.
there now?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Where people can record stuff.
People can
learn
the business side
the
of
back
it.
end that you were talking about.
The back end, exactly. We'll teach them how to upload the song, how to publish it, how to get it registered, and everything for free.
So why do all that? Like, I'm sure there's only so many hours in the day that you could probably spend making more songs like Marvelous to build your wealth and your children's wealth and all this. Why take the time to raise 30 grand and studio and teach young people about this back end stuff, the music stuff, all this?
Pastor Gonzalez, he did it for me, and this is my way. And I know, like, man, there's other kids who will do even greater, even more than I'm doing. So it's a call to action. It's a call to, like the music and stuff is good, but I feel like this is more my purpose. You know what I'm saying? To give back and to be able to help in the way I can, because I don't gotta make millions. Right. I don't have to be a billionaire to help another kid who's just in Del Paso Heights who may have to use other resources. And I know for me, just in my life, a lot of people have given me help, given me opportunity.
Back to those mentors. And I just want to be that for somebody else. So I know you have talked about maybe even expanding beyond music and things.
Yep.
What do you want to expand to? And again, why?
Yeah. I wanted to be able to do trades. I want to be able to do sports. A lot, like, I didn't have it coming up. I didn't have the money to go invest into some studio equipment. Or my brother, when he was doing sports, we didn't have the money to go get a trainer. You know what I'm saying? But there was people in my life who was like, hey, I know you don't have it, but I'm going to help you. You know what I'm saying? And there's so many kids who are out here talented. It can't be just music. Some kid may want to be a plumber or a barber, and like, hey, let's help you, open up a barber shop, or, it's more than just music. And, with my faith background, Christian, you just care about people. And I think that's the most important thing to God is his people. So if I believe in God and the most important thing to him is his people, then that should be important to me as well. So, and I've seen that demonstrated throughout my whole life, people caring about other people. So this is my way of doing that.
Awesome. So, what would you say to somebody that, especially in a neighborhood like where the youth center is in Del Paso Heights, North Sacramento? See, this is the problem with these young people in neighborhoods like this, is they all want to be rappers and in the music industry, as opposed to buckling down. This is like a pipe dream.
Yeah.
Just tell these young people to go to school, graduate from high school, go to college, get a degree, and then after all that, if they still want to do something like this, then they can come to Antonio and try out these dreams. But this is the problem. They need to just go to school and stop all this madness. Yeah. What would you to say to somebody that feels that way? For one, I'd say they're out of touch for sure, because you see now, like, you can, what I'm gonna pay $100,000 for in college, I can learn on YouTube. It's like we've been told that. It's almost like preaching to the choir at this point. We've been told that, and we've seen people who went that route and ended up coming back doing what they love. Mm-hmm.
So we got to tell people to do what they love and find it out. And it's going to take time, because I know a lot of people who went to college right out of high school and they're not doing what they thought they were going to be. Because you're going to, as you grow, as you get older. So I would just tell them to be patient and like have some grace and let them figure it out like you figured it out, because that may have worked for you, but we live in a different day and age. Like I said, I posted a song and it just went.
Right.
You never know. Like, don't tell them they shouldn't do that. Hey, okay, well, let's have a conversation about it. All right, if that's what you want to do, what's your game plan? I was just talking to my wife about this earlier. My daughter wants to do hair. I was like, okay, well, what's her game plan?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
How'd she get there?
How do you get there? I think that should be the conversation that we're having, is like, how are you going to get there? Some people need to go to college because they don't have a game plan or they don't have the work ethic.
Yeah, so it's not college is bad.
Yeah, it's not that college
just doesn't
is
fit
bad.
for everybody.
Yeah, it doesn't fit.
Well, I just saw,
for everyone.
I don't know, it might have been a month ago on the news that Google, I guess traditionally for, I don't know what jobs, but to work for Google, had traditionally required a bachelor's degree. Mm-hmm. And this news show was like, they're dropping that requirement.
Yeah.
Like, and my brother went to Berkeley and got a degree in computer science, worked his whole life in technology. I couldn't even tell you exactly what he did because I don't understand none of it. But I remember him telling me that most of the people he worked with did not have degrees.
Wow.
Like, he had a degree, but like, he's like, if you know how to program or you know how to do that's what they care about. They don't. They just care, can you produce?
Yep.
And I think sometimes, whether it's some of our colleges or society, sometimes has not evolved with that. Like there's, and so correct me if I'm wrong. What I think I hear you saying is that traditional route of school through college and all that is good, but it might not fit everybody. But what I don't hear you saying is, if you're not going to go to college, here's this easy route for you. Because what I think I hear you saying is that there's a lot of work on this route too. It might not be in a classroom Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 10 to noon for your math class, but you're in a class in your studio in the North area,
you got to
learning the back end and all that. Would I be right on that?
You're 100%. There is no easy route. There is no easy route. Whatever you do, especially owning a business or starting something from scratch, it's going to be work. It's either you're going to do this work or you're going to do that work, or you're going to fall in the middle to where you're struggling for the rest of your life, and you're just working for someone else, and it's not really, it's a dead end. That's exactly what I'm saying. So it's either way you're going to work. So I just chose the route. I was like, hey, I'd rather work for myself and build something. And I even thought about gaming when you were saying about what would I say to them, because back in the day, my mom would say, you ain't gonna make no money gaming. But now you can't say that, because a 13-year-old kid made $3 million playing a game.
That's crazy.
So it's just like things have changed. I can't. Playing a game, $3 million.
Yeah, I'm trying to justify that with what I was always told growing up. Like, I think my mom would have, my mom was very supportive of an open person, but I think if I told her I wanted to be a gamer, she might have been like, okay, baby, that might be good, but.
Did you see the Gran Turismo movie that just came out?
No, I heard of it, obviously. I have not seen it.
That was a game. So it was a kid playing a game. They made it virtual, and then he's actually a real race car driver now. It's crazy. So you got to look at stuff like that. And somebody, they're just out of touch.
So the last thing I want to ask you is somebody that grew up partly in Mississippi and partly in Sacramento and the North area. We have a lot of conversations. It's really the reason why we created A Way Forward, and it's really about listening to different people's experiences and their opinions about the way things are and how to move forward in order for people to have more knowledge to make better decisions of how we can make tomorrow better for everybody. So that's what I want to end with. What do you we're in a time right now where there's protests every day about Israel and Hamas and Palestine, about equity in our country. We've gone through the last 4 or 5 years of social justice protests that weren't just about law enforcement. I mean, that was part of what they're about, but they're also about equity in the neighborhoods like where you grew up. And this isn't the first time this has happened in this country. This has happened numerous times before, where people are trying to point out the inequities of society and how, that it's unacceptable to certain groups of people. Right. Seems like it's maybe more frequent now than it's been in the past. And so I'm curious your thoughts of what we as a society, I know this is a big question, but what are some of the things that we should be thinking about in order to make tomorrow better for all people, not just the select few that are in power and have influence and finances?
Yeah, I think it's conversations like this, hearing people's opinions, hearing and not coming in with hey, I'm going to change your opinion, or I'm going to change how you look at it, and having these conversations and understanding, hey, what is it that you want? Okay, this is what I'm trying to do. Okay, how can I help you? Or even if I can't help you, how can we coexist? How can things work together? If they can't work together, how can you work over there and I work over here without it being a conflict? Right. And I think having these conversations like this and having grace for people and understanding we come from different backgrounds, we come from different cultures, and understanding it's like, hey, that's the way you do it. That doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just like a different method. Same message, different method. And just coming to an understanding, which is hard because sometimes
people got more opinions now than ever before, I think.
Which is hard, but at least, having the conversation and at least trying to understand so me coming from Mississippi, like I said, it was a culture shock. The way that people just do things down there still is totally different. But I have the opportunity to see how they do it and understand it, and try to, how do I move forward with both of these, these ways? This is wrong, this is right. You can take, it's just saying, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Right. So taking that approach when you talk to somebody, or taking that approach when you're in politics, or, and all that type of things like that. So that's what I'll say is, man, having these conversations and going in it with the goal of like, all right, let me at least understand. And if I can't understand, how can I empathize with this person?
Well, I've pretty much this whole talk, I've heard you talk about partnerships and collaboration is Absolutely. How you have gotten to the point where you're at. The first, partnerships, beliefs, like your aunt telling you, hey, this is actually pretty good. Yeah. The pastor, Gonzalez, giving you a shot, even though he probably didn't agree with all the things you were saying in your songs. And then you even talked about, even with the Kings, you called a producer or somebody to help you put that song together, right? It wasn't just you with the words and the beats and all that. You needed somebody else, including the Kings. Yep. And then the Chiefs, which, by the way, this is the first time I've ever mentioned the Chiefs. I'm a Raiders fan.
Okay. So I know that.
I don't know how I even allowed that on here. But it was partnerships and collaboration that helped you get to where you're at every step, and you were clearly open to those things.
Absolutely.
So I think that's awesome. So I want to close today by, I always have in my mind, if somebody was listening to this and you inspired them to either do music or to go find your music or to utilize some of what you have to offer at the Sac Youth Center. So let's just start with the Sac Youth Center. If there's somebody out there that goes, man, he just touched me. This is what I want to do, but I don't know how to do anything, right? I don't know the back end stuff. I don't know the business. And so they wanted to come to the youth center and, have you be their mentor. How would they contact the youth center or you, or how would they get that started? Yeah, so easy to find. All my social media is Mission is Music, so at Mission is Music. You can DM me. We also have AOYNOM. I'm gonna say that slow. AOYNOMMG. At AOYNOMMG. You can DM us there and we get back with people. You can email me at bookmission1@gmail.com. I'm good with getting back with people. I try to, stay on top of it, me and the team. So. And I assume those are the same places they can find all your music.
Exactly. Too. So it's all, we want them to be able to go to one place and be able to find everything. And also, you can come down to the Sacramento Youth Center. We offer classes Tuesday and Thursday from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. You come in, you go to the front, you sign up for the class, and we got hour slots.
And where is that at?
That's 1901 Del Paso Boulevard. And it's the Sacramento Youth Center. It's a big sign, say Sacramento Youth Center. You go there, they'll sign you up, and either I'll be there or somebody to represent the foundation will be there. you can come in, you do music for free, you can record, you can learn business, you can, whatever you sign up for that hour, we'll be able to teach. And if the good thing about it is, if from 1 to 6, if no one is signed up, you can have that whole time because we'll be there regardless. Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah. All right, so if you had one thing to say to young people right now that they don't necessarily know they want to do music. They have no idea what they want to do, right? They're 14 years old, like you were. Fortunately for you, well, you didn't even know you wanted to do it for like a living kind of thing. It was just, that was your way of expressing you. What somebody that's worked with young people and desire to continue to work with young people, what would you tell that young person that's going, I got all these pulls on me and I don't know exactly what I want to do. What would you tell that? Yeah.
I would tell them to try it. Whatever is, a lot of people that I know too that wanted to do music or wanted to do whatever, they never tried it because of whatever fears or whatever circumstances it was. We talked about the partnerships and all that. This stuff came just for me, just walking it out, trying it every single day and trying this and doing that. So I think just try it. If you say you want to be a plumber, if you say whatever it is you want to do, try it, because you might try it and you may not like it.
Right.
And then the sooner you try it, now it's time to move on to something else. You know what I'm saying? And you do that while you're young. Don't have kids and all that type of stuff, because now you got somebody else to depend on. Try it while you're young. If you want to be an artist, try it. You know what I'm saying? If you want to be, whatever it is, try it. Get it out the way, because you may fall in love with it. If you fall in love with it, now you can go all in on it. But if you fall out of love with it, you may have tried it for 10 months, like, I don't like this. Try something else, because you're growing constantly. And the best is to do it when you're young.
Well, and like you said, you might be in love with the idea of you being up on stage and performing, but have no clue about the other stuff. When you learn about it, you decide, I don't want to do this.
Yep. Stories all the time.
Yeah.
Where people was like, hey, man, I thought I wanted to be an artist, but actually I want to be a person who manages the artist. Right. Or actually I want to be behind the scenes. Like my producer that produced Marvelous and the King
song. You guys switched roles.
Yeah,
that would be
it would be bad. It would be bad.
For both of you.
He wants to be behind the scenes. He's like, bro, I don't want to be on the stage. I don't want to be.
Right.
But he's killing it in that part of his life.
Which is awesome. He found what excites him.
And just try it. Just try it.
Last question. So if there's somebody out there or an organization or a company that loves what you said and wants to support all the things that you do, especially in the community with helping kids, what is the best way for them to explore what they could do to help with you? Is that one of these sites you gave?
Yes.
Or like, how could they get in touch with you if they wanted to help, not utilize your services, but
absolutely.
help you be able to do more?
I would encourage them to go to ALYNOM.com, and on there they could sign up to be a volunteer. One of the biggest things we need is funding. So if they want to donate, if they, they can do all that on the site, and it tells them exactly what we do, how we do it, why we do it, and they can also reach out to me on those other platforms that I said as well. If they want to have more of a direct conversation, I go get coffee with people. I have conversations. I don't mind doing that at all.
Awesome. Well, hey, man, I'm so glad you're in my city.
Yeah.
I'm thankful that now I'm gonna have some stuff to research online of stuff I never know how to do. So I'm gonna learn some stuff myself after this. But lastly, just thank you for what you, not just being successful, but being successful and then doing what was done for you, for other people, because I think that's critical of how we make tomorrow better is we help each other, because nobody, I don't care how successful the person is, the most successful person in the world didn't do it by themselves.
Not at all.
There's nobody on this earth that did it by themselves. So thank you. It's been a pleasure meeting you. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for the platform, for having me on.
One of the big purposes of A Way Forward is to hear different voices and different opinions, because that is how we can make informed decisions ourselves. So if you are someone that would like to come on A Way Forward to express your opinion, go to chiefhahn.com/podcast. chiefhahn.com/podcast.